Behind me is the largest working collection of synthesizers, I think, in the Southern Hemisphere. I don't think there's anything like this in the world, and it's here in Melbourne, Australia.
Just come up to the door and I'll let you in.
Awesome.
Oh.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? Yeah, I'm well.
Morning.
Nice to see you.
So I'm just getting ready to show you through this incredible, amazing space here at Synth Temple. I've got the crew getting the final touches ready, but we've got a few rooms we're going to go through. We've got an Atmos mixing room there, the full grand synth hall just that way. And then I think there's like a little production booth or solo room there. We've got Fiona and Tony here. I'll just snap around to. And then we have a massive room of synths everywhere. And I'm just really curious, what makes somebody go so crazy they put together all these synths in one room?
Madness. I guess I started when I was a teenager getting into the synths. I loved the sounds of them, and then it started off as a passion and then turned into something a bit mad and crazy.
Have you got that first synth that you started this all with?
I do.
Was that synth?
Yep, right here, the Oberheim OBXA, one of the very first ones I had.
So how many synths are there in total here?
There's 160 something. In this room, there's 120. So the idea is you can get in, all these synths are plugged in. So we have 300 Wi-Fi enabled power points here. So we have an app, turns all the equipment on in a sequence, and you can turn up and start playing within 30 seconds of coming into the room. So we divided this room into 9 sections that we call pods, synth pods. And maybe we can go over to one.
Yeah, let's go. Let's see all.
So this is the Oberheim pod. I'll just turn the speakers on because I haven't turned these on. So the idea with all these synth pods is they're all exactly the same.
Okay.
So it makes it easy for someone to come in. So we have in all of these, we have our patch-based system, which is normaled into our analog mixer. And then the analog mixer then feeds into our metric halo converters. And we've also have effects. Every pod has effects. You can see we've got the old lexicons there, and we've got an old Drama gate, which is fantastic. There's also MIDI, network MIDI in every pod, and there's a tuner as well, which you need. So someone can come and set their laptop up, plug straight in, and they can start recording into their laptop. Or if they don't want to do that, if they just want to get in and play a synth, they can just straight on and play a synth and away you go.
Nice. And that pod, I'm looking at that. That's pod number 1.
Yeah.
And then it's identical, like literally identically matched.
Yeah, that's right. And they're all themed. So that was the Oberheim pod. This is one you're looking at now is the Yamaha pod.
Then come across to here.
Yeah. That's our modular wall, which has got our System 100M. It's got a .com modular, which you're looking at now, and then that's a System 55.
Yeah,
and this is an Italian synth, the GRP A8.
Wow.
And then you move into the Moog and sequential pod. This is slightly different in that it's got a slightly bigger mixer because there's a lot more synths in here, and we needed more channels.
Oh wow, that's incredible. And then you've got another 2, 3, 4, all 9. Wow. Again, that's amazing that they're all identical. So the learning curve is once somebody comes in and understands one.
It's very quick. And we've programmed up. So if someone brings a laptop in, we've programmed the templates for them. So if they're using Ableton or they're using Logic or whatever, we've got templates that they can put in straight away.
And it has all the routing.
It has all the routing and because we have all these effects normal out of the patch base. So we've got that set up for people. Make it easy for them.
Nice. How much Atmos stuff are you doing in here for yourself? Or
yeah, a little bit. We did an event for the Screen Composers Guild, and Steve, our studio manager, and I did an Atmos rendition of Jean-Michel Jarre's Oxygene Part 2, which was in the film Gallipoli that Peter Weir did in 1981. So we did a recreation of that using 15 live synthesizers and playing live in Dolby Atmos. We do have 3 subs in the room because it's quite a big room. It's nearly 200 square meters. So we've got we've got the big giant Genelec sub. I'll show you that over here.
Yeah. Oh,
They're all hidden. But
oh, wait. I thought I had seen giant Gentle X subs. I haven't seen. This
it.
is you can't see it right now. It's probably about 5 feet tall. That's ginormous. We'll put a picture up of the actual model on the screen, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you've been living with the 6.2s for a little bit?
Yeah, so we've been really happy with those in this room. So obviously we've got the Gentle X have been amazing for the studio because they're what they do. Though one they sound great, but two, because you've got so much control and they've got the calibration system, we've got the speakers calibrated. So if you're sitting here at the listening position, there's one calibration. But if you've got clients or people sitting at the couch, we've calibrated the speakers so you get the best response there as well. And so in the GLM5 software for Gentle X, you can save up to 10 presets with different calibrations around the room. It works really well. And then these PMCs, we did and Fee was a part of this. Fee, Steve and I, we had 4 or 5 different speakers that we were able to get from various distributors and try them all, and we liked the PMC 6.2s in here.
Yeah. What else did you shoot them out against?
We tried the key 3s. Yeah. We tried the PSIs, 23. I can't remember the exact model number. They're really good speakers as well. We tried
Key 7s.
Key 7s, yeah, that's right. We brought the Gentle X in from in the main room, and then we had some Barefoots that we brought down as well. But I can't remember what those, the Microman 27s, I think.
One of our overriding priorities in the build, which I was involved with, was the acoustics of our build. So we were really keen to ensure that we could get a planning permit for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and were easily able to secure that because of all the treatment that we've done. We were really lucky that we started with a historic building that had double brick. So then we built a building within an existing building. So there is a lot of layers of density here. There are, double thick joists on Embleton, rubber pads to stop vibrations. There is just so many layers through the ceiling and the walls to build up that density. And obviously we worked with acoustic consultants along the way. But we are really happy with the sound that we've been able to create in this room.
I'm curious about the council thing, because council are different in every part of the country, in every different municipality. For your experience dealing with that on the acoustic side, what was the documentation the council wanted to see, or how did they want it measured so that way they could give you a tick of approval and be like, yep, you're all good? Like what outside of the physical structure and plans, what did they need tangibly on your end when you were done?
There was a report from our architect, basically, which detailed the specifications and measurements of sound level. But basically it made an emphatic statement to say no one will be able to hear anything because it's so well treated, essentially. Yeah. In a reasonably long report. Yeah.
Okay. No, I was just curious, like, because I'm not sure what the checks and balances would be on the council side to give that tick outside of, you built a beautiful, amazing studio. What are those ticks? So that's interesting. So that happened pre getting the permit to build, and then post when it was completed to say proof of concept has been achieved.
And, the neighbourhood were really supportive of what we wanted to do because it had been a disused bus depot for like nearly a decade. Yep. It had graffiti all on the front of it, water leaking everywhere. It was really neglected. And like for them to have, an attractive building all restored that's historic, and not be able to hear anything that goes on in it was, they were pretty happy. So we had no objections.
And I'll tell you one other thing on the Gentle X, which is really cool, is they have digital and analog inputs. Yeah. And so when we're using Atmos, we use the digital system that sends the speaker feed. But when we're playing, when we turn them to analog, they work as local monitors for people in the. So if you say look at this wall here, if you're playing those modulars, then you play those through the big S360 monitors.
Oh, and you can localize it for that.
And it gets localized.
Yes,
it gets localized. Then and then if you're playing over in that pod, you would use those. You can use those 2 speakers, so you can borrow that speaker there. So
you just turn them around.
Yeah, because they're on mounting brackets that rotate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. All right, you're going to have to show me everything else because this is just one room of this is the main hub, and I think this is like everybody needed to see it. This is in Melbourne, by the way, which I just am blown away by the fact that this is just on just at our doorstep.
By the way, this is a working synthesizer. This is actually a Korg MS-20 that they used to use in Japan. The teacher would put this up the front of the class and they'd have all the students sitting there with their little MS-20, which is exactly the same synth, but just a little small version. It's a working synth.
It's another works. Can this be patched into that room?
No, it can't.
No. I thought I had to ask because I got 120 there and then, but that is amazing.
Yeah. It's downable.
Now, just so people know, when we're here for the MPEG meet the other month, I was throwing up mixes in the Atmos room here, which had been released by clients of mine. And this room does genuinely sound incredible. Like it's a really good room. Tell me a bit about it on your experience.
Yeah, it's great. Well, look, we wanted a room that did sound great for Atmos. It's a 7.1.4 system, all Gen X, although we've got some ATC SCM 25s for near field, which just sound amazing. But people talk about the mid-range in those speakers and you do notice it. They're very revealing. So, yeah, we wanted a room that's great for mixing, but it's also great for tracking. So we can track into the solo room. Next door, we've got sight lines in there. We can track into the main room. We've got our center speaker. There's a cool little touch on a little motorized system. So we can drop down our center speaker if we need to create better sight lines into the main room.
So that's really good.
Yeah, it's really handy.
It's exceptional.
Yeah. And we've set this room up, so it's pretty logical. We have a set of tracking racks with lots of good pre's and compressors, and then we have, I guess, a set of mix racks which has all the stereo bus stuff, and we can feed. We've got 24 analog tie lines we can feed in from the main room. We've got 8 analog tie lines we can feed in from the solo room, but we can also send up to 192 channels from the main room in over network audio and then via MIDI into our Avid Matrix and our Pro Tools rig. So there's no shortage of channels. You can also sit here with a MIDI keyboard and you can play all the MIDI synths in the other room as well. There's over 65 of those MIDI'd up. So if you really want to play a keyboard in the other room, you can do it from here and the audio gets fed back in over network. The network. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. A question that's coming to my mind, and I'm curious, actually, I'm not going to say what I'm curious about. I'm going to just ask the question, why the Genelex for both that room and this room?
I think I said it, like, I always like the sound of Genelex, but it's not just the sound. Because, look, honestly, there's so many monitors that sound great. It was the practicality of being able to, the great thing with Genelex, they come with like 50 different ways you can mount them. They have that network control, the GLM5 software, so you can set presets up, you can tune them really easily and simply. Yeah. And they come in different colors, they come in different sizes, so we could get the right speaker for the right room. Yeah. And we're really happy with it. Oh, they do sound great.
Yeah. No, that's what I was cluing on to. I'm like, 20 years ago, speakers with a box, the cable that goes into it, and then you have to make everything else work around it. Whereas with systems like the GLM system or the MA1 system, which Neumann has, and there's so many different systems, it makes integrating these speakers a different experience altogether than what speakers used to be. So I was curious if that practicality was something that played in, and it was.
I think, and Studio Connections, who are the distributor for Genelex, they were fantastic. They were on the journey with us right from the start. They invested a lot of time and effort coming in, helping us select the right speakers, helping us calibrate them and whatever. They went over and above.
That's really interesting. Yeah, because a lot of people who are starting in the audio game or trying to build a new space and whatnot, there's so many considerations. And then with acoustics, that can become a whole rabbit hole of its own, but then having a system that can adapt or slightly tune and lean into a little bit, I think is just sort of where the future is for monitors and speakers.
I think so. Yeah, the practicality. Because look, the reality is there are so many speakers that would do the job. We could have been just as happy with another.
Yeah.
And the sound would have been just as good, I'm sure. But that practicality meant a lot to us. And I will say the room treatment is way more important than the speaker. Like, it's very obvious.
It is. It is.
I mean, we've got a Schroeder diffuser there behind you on the wall. We've got a log diffuser above there. So there's actually little logs.
Okay.
So you can't see them because they're sitting on top of
on
top of the ceiling cloud.
Yeah. No. Yeah. The acoustic is very important. It's just that when that technology is available and it can extend the applicability of a tool, it's incredible that speaker companies are now integrating these technologies or DSP in the new shapes and ways and forms that come. So,
and a lot of thought went into the air management system as well in this room and the other room. So
in terms of like AC,
absolutely. The mechanical's pretty sophisticated. You know, we even have oxygen meters and everything in that main room.
Can you show us what an oxygen meter looks like?
Yeah. I can
okay, yeah, good.
But you know, you have to have the air moving very slowly through the room, but you need to be able to circulate it because you don't want noise from your aircon.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of thought put into the design of the registers. People may have seen registers that look like this, and that's a bit of a Peter Brown specialty.
Yep.
Our engineer architect was an acoustic specialist, so he's done a lot of radio stations, TV stations and studios in Melbourne and Australia. So whenever you see registers that look like that, you know Peter Brown's had a hand in the design of that studio.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, in one single room where there's maybe one aircon vent, it might be one issue to deal with, but when you're dealing with what would be a 200 square meter room, which cubically is huge, so to keep cool is a big task.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even. That is a hidden thing you would never think of, putting together a room that big.
It's a huge thing. And then, of course, when someone quotes you on a HVAC system, they quote you the simplest and the cheap. But we wanted it spec so that if it was a 35-degree day, we could still have everything running and you could have 20 people in the room or whatever, and we'd still be able to get the temperature right down to 22, 23.
Because the synths don't actually create that much heat. It's actually all the monitors that create the heat. So
with that large heat sinks.
Yeah.
And some of the very old synths do. Yeah, like we've got 3 CS80s in there, and they've got big power supplies in there. They put out a fair bit of heat.
The CS80 is very temperamental. We have to tune them to a 22-degree room to keep them in tune. So
if the room's 1 degree out, they go out of tune. So you've got it.
1 degree, they go out of tune. That is, I'd never know that. This is one room I didn't go in last time.
This is we call it our solo room, and it's a nice acoustic. We've recorded drums in here. We've done vocals. We can wheel our grand piano in here as well, and mainly to get it out of the way of in the main.
Could I catch you there for a sec? The grand piano fits in here.
Yeah, it fits in here. Yeah, we do. And so we designed there's no steps in the place. Everything is on one level, so everything can be wheeled and rolled around. And we designed our doors so that we can easily roll the piano in and out.
I'm still. You're looking at me with my jaw drop because I don't believe you, but that's crazy. That is insane.
There's not much margin.
There's not much.
We have to do it pretty carefully when we wheel it in.
But it wheels in.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all the transitions are completely flat.
Yes.
Yep, and they all got mechanical seals.
Yeah.
Which you've rebated into it.
Yes.
Yep.
Top seals. Double doors.
And not that people need to bump in stuff very much because we've got all the stuff here.
Yeah.
All the gear's already here. But, you can, bring a truck into the front garage and wheel everything up into the studio. There's no steps at any point, which is also good for, just equal access for the facility as well.
Yeah, and this is the old QE motors. So I remember coming through there.
Yeah, you came through the garage.
The garage.
Right? Yeah.
Are there any plans for the garage? No.
That's
parking. That's parking. That's a nice space as well.
Yeah, it is nice.
That's incredible. All right. Well, I think.
Do you want to see the workshop?
Let's go have a look at the workshop. This is the workshop.
Here we go. This is the workshop, and this is Steve Jones. Steve's hard at work, actually. Look at that.
Hey, how are we doing? Oh, you're going to take us through the workshop now, I think. Or someone is.
Yeah, Steve can tell you what we've got in the workshop.
Well, obviously lots of test equipment,
Yeah.
and behind you, thousands of parts between what's, in all those drawers and in cases beneath the benches and out in storage. So we've got all the sort of rare parts and common parts here to basically keep everything fixed. So what's out in that room is very reliable because it's been well looked after, and if something does fail, we can normally just put it on a trolley, roll it out here, fix it, and roll it back in.
So Steve, as well as being our studio manager, he works as an engineer here, does assistant engineering. He's a brilliant sound programmer. So we get a lot of composers coming in, and Steve will work with them today for the days to program up the sounds on the synths. But then he also can pretty much fix anything. So he keeps everything working. Also does some external repairs too when he has time. There's a bit of a queue to get a hold of Steve's services.
Even in a band session, someone's pedal went down and Steve just brought it out here and fixed it and gave it back to them so they could keep using it.
Yeah, so this is obviously this is a workshop. We also have storerooms, so we keep all our cables and we can move the couches and the furniture out from the main room into here when we're doing a band. So we're doing a big band session. That's a Buchla 406. There's not too many of those in the world, and we're bringing it back to life.
Oh, beautiful. And that will go in the main room?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Never seen a studio with an oxygen meter. So what does that read there?
459 parts per ppm. Parts per,
okay.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm going to have to Google that.
I did know at some point, but I've forgotten now.
Air quality good.
Obviously when you bring external air into a facility, you opening the room to the outside.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily want to do that too much if you don't need to. So an oxygen meter determines when you need to bring in fresh air supply from outside.
Yeah. And that's at 22 degrees, which is what the tuning is of that particular
CSA.
Of the CSA.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah, this one gets the It's a Yamaha CS80.
So this, if it's not at 22 degrees, will go out of tune.
Yes.
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
That's
This is Steve's actually. He bought this off Split Ends back in the 80s.
That's great. So but let's say you have a synth like this and you go to perform at a live show with it.
Yeah.
And it's not 22 degrees. You're out of luck.
Well, you just might be playing out of tune.
Yeah.
But people might be enjoying it so much they may not notice. I don't know.
Yeah.
We would notice. For recording purposes in here, it's got to be,
22 degrees. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's, yeah. As I said, I'm not a synth head, but I never knew that must be a 22 for.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's
even actually, occasionally we've had it, like we've been here at night and we've heard something and we're going, where is that coming from in the room? And you've got to work out which synth is making some weird noise on its own. Like it's very like do. And it's often this.
It would just play on its.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre and weird.
It actually works and it's calibrated perfectly, but it measures super low currents, and that would have been from a university, I would say. Or perhaps a high school.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the practical use of measuring such low currents?
In the modern world, say with a synthesizer, I'd use something like that, but I'd use a digital version to measure how much battery drain there is on a backup battery in a synth. So if say your Juno's flattening its battery every 3 months, I can, if I put a new one in, and do some repairs, I can tell whether it's draining.
Okay.
If the battery's delivering more than maybe 2-3 microamps, then there's a fault.
Oh, okay.
So there's a practical. I could actually use that to fix a synth.
Okay. But it's not as practical as using a digital meter.
Multimeter, yeah.
Okay.
It's got to be a pretty sensitive meter to measure a couple of microamps. So.
Wow.
Neumann M49, a pair of Neumann M149s, a pair of KM184s, a pair of U67s, some 414s, a pair of U87s and a U67, so a pair of 414s, some Earthworks Omnis, a Telefunken Elan 251, and a Sony C800G. Then going down to the only ribbon we have at the moment is an AEA.
Yeah.
And then kind of a few of the usual dynamic mics, you know, SM 57s, 58, KM88, Electro Voice RE20, 421s.
Out of curiosity, what's that blue one on the far left?
I think it's made by a company called Purple.
Okay.
We haven't really used it. It's just,
It just stands out like in a big way.
we're just waiting to give it a try actually on something to see what it sounds like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What have you used probably the most out of this cabinet? What are you gravitating towards, or what are people who are coming through the space leaning on?
Oh, look, for vocals, very often U67s, very often the Elan, the 251.
Yeah.
Occasionally, yeah, they're probably the main ones. For piano, the M149s are really nice, and so are the Earthworks Omnis.
Yeah.
They're also great room mics in a room this size.
Yeah. In a room this size, if you're setting up room mics, where and how are you setting them up?
We find that putting an Omni right at the back of the room or toward the back of the room has worked very well, depending on what you're recording.
Yeah, of course.
It's a good complement, interestingly, with the piano if you've got that mic'd up.
So piano mic here close,
Pair of mics.
and then Omni at the back.
Omni toward the back. We've tried a lot of configurations. It really varies. There was a brass section at one point, and the engineer tried a pair of condensers sort of halfway down the room, and it was too far away. They had to come forward. So it really varies depending on what program material.
Yeah, as you're pushing mics further, because again, and I want to reiterate to people, this is a 200 square meter room. As you're pushing mics further away from the source, is there a lot of acoustic sort of issues being introduced from that, or is it more just the distance and the energy you're getting from the sound source that changes?
It's a long distance, so there's definitely a delay time.
Yeah.
But it often works.
Yeah.
And you're not mixing a lot of it in.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. Are there any unique positions in this room where you've stuck a mic that you wouldn't conventionally do?
Not really so
Not
far.
really. Not really so far.
We've only been open since March, so we haven't experimented a whole lot.
Oh, okay.
We've experimented a fair bit with the piano.
Yeah.
Sort of close micing it with a pair of large diaphragm condensers. But also the two Omnis, maybe 3 feet from it, work really well.
So 3 feet in which, if you were placing it 3 feet in which direction here?
Around here.
Oh, okay, so you'd have...
It gives it a fairly sort of glorious piano in a room sound, but without it sounding like a distinguishable room.
Interesting. Do you find that placing mics in this room, the synthesizers, and I'm just theorizing here because I haven't practiced in this space with recording, did the synthesizers add a sense of diffusiveness to the space?
There's a lot of diffusion in here from the synths.
Yeah.
And that's why the room is, the sound is very manageable.
Yeah.
You know, you can hear that it's a large room, but you don't hear the character of the room.
Okay.
And, we find playing through the system, there's not much in the way of nodes around the room. It's very, very even.
Oh, beautiful. And then if you've got amplifiers or guitarists, you're keeping the amp separate in the solo room, or?
We usually do.
Yeah.
But sometimes we even put a small, like a Fender Tweed out in the workshop. There's some tie lines out there as well.
Okay, that's a detail we missed in the workshop. Tie lines in the workshop.
Back of the workshop in the storage area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And
Actually, tell you what Steve can talk to you about is the inner clock system that we've got.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, a lot of people have probably heard of interclock systems. So they make synchronization systems, and they're an Australian company.
Yeah.
So we've got their systems scattered throughout the room. And what that means is that if you're syncing an old piece of equipment like a drum machine or, say, the arpeggiator on a Jupiter 8 or a Juno 60 or something like that, if you use MIDI sync, they always start drifting. Or if you sync anything via MIDI, after a couple of minutes, the MIDI starts drifting. So the interclock system uses a plug-in that generates a timing pulse that goes out to their custom boxes. And those boxes produce MIDI and DIN sync and also pulse sync that's sample accurate. So you could run a sequence for 2 days and your Lindrum or your Oberheim DMX or your sequencer on your Jupiter 8 will just stay locked.
Okay.
Sample accurate.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing because there's a lot of stuff around this room. You know, there's 3 Oberheim DMXs, DXs, Oberheim DSX, there's a Lindrum, there's a Lin LM1, there's sequences on these modulars, and there's 3 sequences on that big system, the 700 system. So, you know, it's important to be able to clock them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the interclock system it's like magic. It's fantastic. Probably told you that we spent a year just wiring.
Last time I was here, he was taking me through the floor boxes, the pits and channels along the bottom of the whole perimeter, and today he taught me about the top.
Yes. But there was all the things that we've probably kind of forgotten about, which are just things like focusing lights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it was a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
It's paid off.
Out of curiosity to both of you, how much changed in the middle of putting it together?
Not much.
Hardly anything.
Wow.
I mean, that was, but we had years to plan this.
Yeah.
Like you should have seen the wiring diagrams for all the cabling that, Tony had done and whatnot. So
yeah, you could wallpaper a restaurant with the wiring diagrams and spreadsheets.
Tony is a bit of freak in nature.
That's that's really cool because a lot of people, I know when they've built studios, they come in to build in the studio and then they face logistical issues mid-build where, okay, this can't happen because X, Y, Z, we need to shift and change. Whereas that's
the beauty when you
when
you start from scratch and you've had years to prepare for it and years where you've thought about it, that's a luxury to have that long to think and plan. And we started from scratch. So, we built a building within a building with its own independent steelwork and none of this building touches the outside building. There's no transference of sound. We had the opportunity to just plan and do it really well. And we've done builds in the past, and the key to a really good build is don't go changing a whole heap of stuff in the middle of it because it gets more expensive and it's frustrating. Of course, we had design issues that, just trying to hang a Genelec speaker, which is really heavy. Yeah. Even just the engineering to get that to work. There were things like that during the build that you'd pivot to try and, manage. But
Fiona and Tony's experience in the previous builds really showed up where, for example, the aircon in here is overspec'd.
Yeah.
Because if they'd gone with the quotes, it would have been underspec.
Yeah. You should see the thickness of the glass. But we love natural light and we wanted to have it. But there is you have to have a 300 mil air gap and it's 18 mil glass either side and on an angle. And, it's, but it's all doable.
There were a couple of retrofits. There's shutters, remote control shutters for lighting control in here if you want to drop it over those windows, and an extendable roof.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the courtyard.
Over the there's a canopy out over our courtyard so that people can smoke when it's raining, in the dry. But no, we put out external shutters so that we can blank this whole room out as dark during the day for filming.
Yeah,
because we've filmed a few things in here. So
there you have it. The biggest synth collection I've ever seen in my life. I think anybody on this side of the hemisphere, I think in the world, the largest working synth collection. And not only is it a great synth collection, it is an incredible studio. I really, really, really want to mix an Atmos record on this system in a 200 square meter room with 9.1.4. If you're coming through Melbourne, hit up the guys at Synth Temple. Incredible space. And yeah, I'm really glad I got to share this with you because it's something super, super unique.